Welcome again to SPE roundtable meeting, and tonight we're going to be, as expected, speaking to the things we all want to know about IFP school admission processes, scholarship opportunities in IFP school, and of course, interview guidance for prospective students for IFP school. So to begin, I would love to, I believe we can see my screen.
Yes, Esther, we can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the response. Okay, welcome everyone. So we want to commence immediately. We are already behind time. And I would like to first begin by appreciating everyone who has taken out their time to join this meeting, especially to our speakers. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining. My name is Nwodo Esther, and I am one of the representatives from the SPE student chapter, the Vice President External. We'll get to the point where you'll meet all our speakers individually and they'll get to introduce themselves. Meanwhile, we go straight into the event for today. So as we can all see my screen, again, like I said, we are on IFP School program applications, procedures, and scholarships. So a little disclaimer before we go on. I want to let us know that, yes, this meeting is here to benefit each and every one of us, but this meeting is no assurance of an admission. It doesn't give you an assurance of a scholarship. It is only here to serve as a guidance to help answer the questions of our prospective students and to also give solutions where necessary to everyone who actually has queries. So there is no assurance of anything by your attendance of this meeting. So this is the outline of today's session. We have introduction, we have the programs, we'll talk about the programs, we'll talk about the admission conditions, then we go on to talk about sponsorships, then we'll go into our roundtable discussions where we'll have opportunity to hear from every other speaker, and of course, we'll have an opportunity for questions and answers. Yes, so IFP School, generally, from the numbers we see on my screen, IFP School generally has different master's programs. Of course, there are even newly onboarded programs. And again, one thing I must let us know before we go ahead is the fact that this information on the slides here does not encompass every single thing you may need to know about every course that is being offered by IFP School. We're going to give you as much as we can a background information, but of course, you would have to go forward to do further research in the particular aspect of your interest to help you gain more knowledge in order to proceed in your applications. So that said, on my PowerPoint slide here, I have numbers. We have about 18 master level programs. So far, we graduate almost 500 students every year. 50% of the students in IFP School are international students, so no one has a worry of, oh, I'm not French and I probably will not gain admissions in IFP School. One very important information also is the fact that most of our students are sponsored. Yes, you may be concerned about, okay, how is it done? That's why you're here. You would find out because your challenge may be sponsorship. But after this meeting, you will know how almost 80% of all the students in IFP School are sponsored. And of course, we have over 180 partner companies, which should not be news to you that these people are greatly involved in the sponsorships our students have. Finally, on this slide, we have about 16,000 active alumni. Yes, the IFP alumni community is very active. We even go on to give, the community goes on to even give coaching, career coaching and the likes to the alumni and even the incoming students. So it's a very, 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 very great privilege to be a student in IFP School. Next, this is just a brief classification of what IFP School does. It gives trainings for master's programs and PhD programs. Beneath the screen, you can see how that I said there are about 10 specialized engineering graduate degrees, and I'll give us details about these later. We have also oriented research masters, we have specialized masters, and one executive master. Meanwhile, before I go ahead, yes, I know everyone is muted, but I'm glad you can hear me. I would love to say that you pick up your pen and papers to take note of any questions you have. Do not put them in the comment section immediately or the chat sessions. When it's time for question and answer, then that is when I'll pay attention to the chats. That's when you can now have your questions being read. Because if you put them now and other comments cover them, we may not be able to attend to them. So take note of them at the end of the presentation. During the question and answer session, then you can commence putting them on the chats. Specialized engineering graduate degree programs. So like I earlier mentioned, there are some programs called specialized engineering graduate degrees. Now, these are the list of the programs. They are grouped into 4. We have like 4 major units, departments in IFP School. So under the powertrain and sustainable mobility, we have these programs you see there: energy and powertrain engineering, energy and products. Then in the energy and chemicals unit, we have energy and processes, and then we have processes and polymers program. In energy economic and management, we have energy and markets, we have energy technology, economics and management. And then in the georesources department of IFP School, we have petroleum geosciences, we have reservoir geoscience and engineering, and we have petroleum engineering and project development. Just a little extra information: the names of these courses, petroleum geosciences and reservoir geosciences, have been changed for the new year. So particularly, you may not see these names in the portal in due time. But if you, like I said, do the research that you will need to do, you'll find out that, yes, these programs exist. Now, for the advanced master's degrees and research-oriented programs, these are the 2 categories we have. We have the advanced master's degrees and the research-oriented programs. Now, under the advanced master degree programs, you see about a list of 5 courses. But the first 2 courses, where we have hydrogen project and engineering and geodata management for energy mix, which I put in black color, are currently taking in admissions. I only highlighted the other 3 because, yes, you would find them on the portal. But for this year, IFP School is not taking admissions to those courses. So just for your information. But you can apply to hydrogen project and engineering, as well as geodata management for energy mix. On the side of research-oriented masters, we have catalysis and processes, we have environmental energy and transportation economics, and the likes. Yes, those courses are available in IFP School. Now, it is important to note, especially for the sake of your application, that there are some courses that are taught in French and there are some courses that are taught in English language. Yes, IFP School is in France, so definitely that should not be a surprise. So you must be careful, in case you are English speaking only, not to apply for courses that are taught in French. And then, of course, English speaking courses are available to everyone. But if you don't speak French, you may need to apply to just English speaking courses, and vice versa. So it's in the portal. I can't go through every stock. Like I said, you would also have your own research to do. Yes, so important information here. We have different durations for different programs in our school. So the first one represented here is 16 months, and we call it continuous program. So you see the letters SONDJF, they represent the months of the year. So for example, the first one, it's September, October, November, December, and then you have January down to the next December. So that particular program, it's called double
Excuse me,
degree.
Esther.
Yes, I can hear
Sorry,
you, please.
but we received an email that some people are waiting in the hosting room. If you can let them join. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah. So we can go ahead. Thank you for that, Bush. So welcome everyone who just joined, and sorry if you had to wait so long. Again, so we're about to discuss the program durations and scheduling for IFP School. This is the point where we are at. Please, like I earlier said, for those who have just joined, you will need to take note of any questions you have until we get to the question and answer section before you can put them in the chat. So September, October, November, December, these letters represent the months of the year for those who are just joining. Now we have double degree programs, we have single degree programs. So I'm going to briefly explain what each of these programs mean. For the double degree program, it's done with a partner institution. It is a situation whereby you would complete part of your schooling in IFP school and part in another school, maybe in Audencia or any partner institution represented in the course you have chosen to study. And yes, it would also be explicitly seen or represented in the portal at the stage where you want to apply. You would see how that, yes, this is a course that is taught with a partner institution. Now, we also have single degree programs that is straightforward with, as the name implies, with company placements. Now, going to the right side of my slide, you'll see that we have 11 to 13 months and we have 16 months. Programs represented in those months are called continuous programs. By this, IFP school means that you come to the school, you begin this program, and then you don't leave for work or internship or anything until the 13 months or 11 months or 16 months is over. That's what is called continuous program for IFP school. So for example, we have in the 11 to 13 months courses like hydrogen projects, we have geodata management, yes. And then for courses that are 16 months, you have RGE, we have PGS, and then we have petroleum engineering and project development. That's for the continuous program. Now, you still see where we see how that there are some courses called alternating school/company program. Those courses are courses that you spend a few months in IFP school and then you return for a few months to your company. Now, there are most courses that you can still be in the same course, both as a continuous program student and as an alternance. It doesn't change anything. The only difference is that those who are doing the continuous program will definitely be done before those who are doing the alternating program, because you have to leave after 3 months and return after 3 months, depending on your admission, depending on the conditions attached. So that's basically what we have here. And then, of course, there are some people who have to spend up to 22 months because you will encompass the number of months they would spend within the school and, of course, the number of months they will spend at their company. I believe this is clear enough, but if you have questions about it, you can put it down. We discuss further later. So for admission conditions, the first is 4 or 5 years of higher education. Yes. To speak a little to that, you'll see that most of the courses have different criteria. There are some courses that even if, yes, you have 4 years or 5 years of higher education, you can't get into them if you are not having an engineering background. But that is not so for every course. So now it is for you to ensure that you look into the details of the particular course you are applying to be able to know that, yes, your criteria is fit for your conditions or your certifications is fit for that particular program. For example, petroleum engineering and project development is for engineering graduates, most especially. Or another thing that I must mention in this aspect of 4 to 5 years, sometimes if you have an experience in a particular field that encompasses 4 to 5 years experience in the field, perhaps you don't have a background in that field, IFP school could admit you if you can defend during your interview why you think you can do well in that course. So for example, you probably studied banking and finance, but you've had like 10 years of experience in the oil and gas field. Why not? All you just need to do is to present yourself very well, which our speakers would give you some tips as we go on. Then there are some people, like I said, continuous programs, joint, double programs. I've mentioned that. So you may be completing from another school, the partner institution of IFP school. That's what's happening in the second slide. Then there are joint admissions. like item, where you do part of your school here and then in another school as well. Okay, no, the second slide is basically if you are yet to graduate, yes, and your institution is one of the institutions that has signed a double degree agreement with IFP School. So you may not necessarily need to complete your graduation in that school if your school falls in that category before you can commence your education in IFP School. Then, of course, the English and French requirements, details will be spoken of later. I already mentioned a bit about that. Now, the picture you see here is for this year's admission. So admissions have commenced, applications for admissions have commenced since 15th of November. And we have that by the 15th of April, admissions will be closed. So if you're in this meeting, you are still very much in time. You can still apply. Then this is what the procedure looks like. After the application period closes, you have an evaluation of the applications, which is done by the program coordinators of the courses you apply to. And then you have the main jury who come together to finally decide on, okay, the people that will get the admission and stuff. That is after you have done your interviews. And then, of course, you have intensive language courses. This is probably going to be happening in the month of August for this year, and then start of school is September. So yes, for the English and French criteria, there are in the portal specified countries that are exempted from having to, okay, to study, maybe to have a TOEIC certificate or a TOEFL certificate or an IELTS certificate. So the listed countries are known to be English-speaking countries. For example, Nigeria. I didn't need to apply using any TOEIC certificate because my country has been listed here. Peradventure, you need to apply to an English-speaking program in IFP School for this year, and your country is not listed amongst the ones exempted. Then you may need to have either of these certifications to be able to join in for an English TOEFL program, and the same goes for a French TOEFL program. However, IFP School also provides opportunities for French trainings in due course, yes. Fundings. Yes, like we said earlier, 80% of the students of IFP School are sponsored. So definitely we have partners or companies who sponsor these people. So represented here are some, I guess not all, because as earlier mentioned, we have over 180 partners, but this is just for you to know the categories of sponsorships we have. So under institutions, for people like Nigerians, we have the PTDF. It's a government institution scholarship. Now, these people are sponsored by the government. They are not affiliated to any company. Same with foundation. Now, Talk Foundation, I believe when we get down to the aspect of scholarships, you will still have details of this. Talk Foundation is IFP School's internal sponsorship, where your sponsor is IFP School itself. And this is basically done by the alumni community. Now, going over to companies, these are represented here. Some of the companies that sponsor our students. We have Equinor, we have Total Energies, we have Trident Energy, we have Perenco, and we have GNPC. So furthermore will be spoken when we get to the scholarship aspect, but just to let you know, these sponsorships are published both on IFP portal and on the company's websites. So you can decide to take note of these companies and check their websites to see when they make openings for IFP School sponsorships. For example, currently, Total Energy has made an opening for sponsorship to petroleum engineering course for the year 2025. So different companies open their application periods at different times of the year, but definitely our partner companies will definitely open applications, and it's up to you to grab the opportunity. So for apprenticeships, you can also apply, which is also posted on the company's website. Total Energies also does apprenticeship. So when they open for apprenticeship is such that you do 3 months with the company sponsoring you, and then you do 3 months with your education, and then the contract elapses after your study is over. So depending on your choice, if you prefer to do that, then you apply to the openings for apprenticeship. So again, yes, this is a representation of how it always comes up in the school's portal when they open. You find it this way in IFP portal, where the school, when they have opened up applications, or you go directly to the company and check their website for their sponsorship for IFP students, then you can definitely apply. Yes. So to further elaborate your knowledge on the company's sponsorship, this meeting is going to be held between IFP school, partner companies, and prospective candidates. So I'll suggest for those of you who are yet to be sure of your sponsorships and could be interested in having one of the partner companies sponsor you, I'll suggest that you take note of the meeting time and date it's going to be holding online. The link, you could still find it later on our IFP School Instagram channel. It has been posted there. You can schedule to join, where you will directly have communication with our partner companies in order to further elaborate the things I have said earlier in order to get company sponsorships. So this is how IFP, this is also a way you can find opportunities on LinkedIn. You type IFP School, you click on jobs, and then you see the list of our partner companies who have opened sponsorship for the year. So in case you don't find it now, this is like from previous years, but I just want to show you how you can find it on LinkedIn, how you can find it in the company's website, how you can find it on IFP School's website, and of course, how you can connect directly to the live video with the company for further information. So there are no limitations or restrictions to getting the opportunity, but you just need to act. Now, we are getting into how to apply. Of course, I believe we all know that, like I said earlier, applications have begun since the 15th of November, and
Esther,
they'll go on. Yep.
excuse me, I just want to say something because I didn't know it before. So guys, don't wait until you get accepted to apply. You need to be securing your sponsorship at the same time when you're applying for the application. So don't wait until May for the results to be out to find a sponsorship.
I must state that what she just said is a very important point, especially because some of these sponsorships have deadlines. Yes. And the sponsorship could close even before IFP admission closes application. So, like she said, I think it's better to act fast. So now you know the companies involved. Now you know where to find them. So if you are interested, apply. Thank you, Bushra. Now, how to apply? For the things you would need when you go to create your portal, you will see how that you need to, of course, create your application file. You need to upload your CV, which our speakers will speak more to very soon. Your cover letter, you need a recommendation letter. Then you need a photocopy of your passport or your ID. Then copies of your engineering school or university qualifications. I believe you'll see all these. This is just to let you know. Then you need details of your higher educations, your CGPA. Then of course you can apply to, you are not restricted to applying to only one program. You have the opportunity to apply to about 3 programs, but that's the maximum. So you could try your luck to say, okay, I applied for sponsorship with Total, and Total is sponsoring only PEPD, so I want to apply for PEPD while I still try to get another sponsorship for this in probably maybe RGEPGS. So yes, there's no limitation to your attempts. And then, like, of course, she said, you must look for a sponsorship simultaneously. It's stated here. So this is the application portal. This is what it looks like when you.
Hi, Esther. Sorry to cut you short. Please, can you let in some people from the waiting room?
Yes, yes, I've admitted the people in the
Okay.
waiting room.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you, everyone who has just joined. For those of you who had to wait for a while in the waiting room, we apologize for that. And I would love to, at this point, inform us that I don't know how many of us already are aware, but Zoom meetings end within the time frame of 40 minutes. So I want to believe that all of us here are registered, and I have your email address. So please, if you are not yet registered, you may not be able to get the link to the next meeting after this one ends, because in the next 10 minutes, it's going to be ending because of the time limit attached to Zoom meetings. And so I'm going to share the link to the new meeting to everyone whose email address is registered So please, you still have the opportunity to include your email address, and then I'll be mailing you the link to join the next minute shortly after this one ends. So we go back to the presentation. Yep. Then this is what you meet when you go to the IFP school to apply, yes. Then I would like to share a personal challenge, especially the reason why I put this slide here. When I attempted my applications for IFP school, I don't know what happened, but my email address was not letting me create an account. I was stuck on this page for a while, but then I just decided to just switch email address, and then using my next email address, it worked. So I'm saying it just in case one of us may experience the same thing. Oh, you tried to create an account, it's not working. You could try another email address, and then, of course, try your best to create your account. Yeah, so this is the most important part of this meeting, where we're going to be hearing from our very honorable speakers to share the ideas they have from their experience through their process of applications, through their process of sponsorship applications, admission applications, and the likes. So without further ado, please let's have our speakers introduce themselves to us, and then we begin to hear from them as we go on. Please, thank you.
Okay, shall I start?
Definitely, yeah, sure. In the order of pictures, yep.
Okay, so hi everyone. I am Busha Yazbek. First of all, thank you for joining us. I am the president of the SPE student chapter. I am sponsored by Tech Foundation, which, as Esther mentioned, she's part of the Alumni Association. But you can ask me about it later, but it's basically you don't apply to it. It is based on merit. So they usually choose 1 or 2 persons per program based on your grades. And I am part of the PEPD, Petroleum Engineering and Project Development program, the continuous 16 months.
Okay, thank you so much, Bushra. Welcome. Thank you for your time here.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. First of all, great you to be here today. I am Mateo. I'm Ecuadorian. I'm also studying the Petroleum Engineering and Project Development Master's degree, and I'm sponsored by Trident Energy. It's an offshore oil and gas company, and just make sure you apply with time, because in my case, I applied very late, and I almost was not with this scholarship. So, and they just take 1 per program, and this is the only program they sponsored.
Thank you very much, Mateo, and thank you for your time here. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Favor Osaibubu. I am Nigerian, as you can see. I'm currently studying Petroleum Geosciences here at IFP, and I'm being sponsored by Total Energies E&P Nigeria Limited. So the scholarship for Total Energies Nigeria just closed January 31st, but let's see how it goes. So nice to meet everyone here, and it's a pleasure for you to be here today.
Thank you
Hi,
so much,
everyone.
Favor.
Sorry, Esther. Hi, everyone. My name is Daria. I am coming from Romania, and I'm a student in Petroleum Geosciences program, sponsored by Equinor. And I would like to mention that for the Equinor sponsorship, it is usually the school program supervisors that recommend you to Equinor, and they will set up the interview and the application process. This is the reason why you will not find the Equinor sponsorship for IFP anywhere on the internet.
Thank you so much, Daria. Thank you for your time here today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Juan. I'm from Bolivia. I'm a petrol engineer. I'm sponsored by Accents. It's a process company. Well, I strongly recommend it to apply as soon as possible. There are many opportunities available for process engineers. That's it. I hope we will talk about later many tips, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ron, for being here. Okay, so before we just dive into having to hear from our speakers, this meeting is going to be ending in 3 minutes, but I want to suggest that we end it now and recommence, and then we begin to hear from our speakers. So I'll be sharing again the link to everyone who is registered in like 3 minutes. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Okay. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining again. Okay, sorry, I still received another email now that some people haven't received the
Yeah,
email.
I replied. I don't know why. I resent also an email, but
I removed these restrictions. I don't know. Okay, so I think we can go ahead. Sorry for the bridge, and we hope we can be done before this has to happen again. We hope. Okay. Welcome back. So this is the most important part. Okay, every part is important, but this is where you get to hear from the experience of the already existing students, and they get to share perspectives with you. And like I said, just in case you are just joining this meeting for the first time now, please do well to take note of your questions. During the question and answer section, then you will be allowed to put it on the chat where I can read them from. Thank you. Welcome again. So back to the presentation. I would love to share my screen again. Okay. Please can we see my screen? Hi, Bush. Please, can you see my screen?
yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So we go ahead. Once again, welcome all our speakers, and thank you for the time you have committed to this project. I believe we have all met our speakers and they've been able to introduce themselves. Yes, they are all students, already existing students in IFP school. So I believe we'll definitely learn a thing or two from all of them. So the first part of the discussion we want to have with our speakers today is on the cover letter, where we get tips on how to make our cover letters to stand out or to make it more interesting for the application. So Matteo, please, can you give us tips on how to make our cover letter for the application more interesting? Thank you.
Yes, for sure. So, guys, of course, I just want to mention and to state that I am not a human resources. I am not going to admit everyone, right? But as far as I can do, I can give you some advice of the cover letter I did. So maybe can help you on to orient people that don't know or doesn't have like any idea of how to start theirs. Okay, so of course, before you start your cover letter, you have to decide first which program will you be or you want to be following, because this cover letter must be oriented to this program. Okay, so you can start by saying who you are, a little bit of your background, your bachelor's degree, and then the program you want to start following. Then it's very important that you state why did you decided to study the IFP among all universities around the world. Okay, you must for this do some research about IFP, the values. Okay, and a very important tip that I can give you now is that you orient your cover letter in energy transition. Okay, because it's one of the most important pillars that IFP is currently focusing right now. Even in petroleum stuff, they really matter this topic. Okay, then don't hesitate to put any background you have, previous experience, internship, volunteering. Okay, just make sure you can state any value you can give to the university and any soft skill you have gained during your university years or during your work. Okay, it doesn't matter, but at least you need to show who you are and why IFP must want you. Okay, and at the end, of course, don't hesitate. I mean, you have to state that you are really interested again and you are open to any kind of interview and to any kind of sponsorship. You don't have to really say here that you are looking for this or this sponsor, but just want to be part of the school, and then maybe the school is going to give you a better a recommendation to any kind of institution that will contact you in further steps.
Okay, thank you, Matteo. Daria, would you like to throw more light on what he has said about the cover letters?
My opinion would be because all the professors that are going to review the cover letters coming in from dozens of students do not want to read the same thing all over again. So I think that it's important to keep it straight to the point. And in my opinion, I think more than one page is not necessary. The same situation as it is for the CVs. You have to think about what highlights your experience and also highlights why you are a good fit for IFP and why IFP is beneficial for you, as Matteo has mentioned. And after making a list of these experiences, or maybe it can be a personality trait that you can delve a bit into. After making a list of these things, you can start to detail them, but also keep in mind that it shouldn't be too long, and it should I think it should really show that you are an honest person. And don't use ChatGPT for writing it, because that's the clear guarantee that all the cover letters will look the same way and you will not stand out.
Okay, thank you so much, Daria, for that beautiful suggestion. Yes, it's very important, especially the aspect she mentioned about ChatGPT and also everything Matteo said. Thank you. And so the next thing we want to get tips on is on the CV. Rowan, please, can you throw more light on this for us? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Esther. Well, for the CV, I strongly recommend to do it as short as possible. I mean, one page will be enough in my case. Try to be clear. Don't put too much colors to it. In my case, it's black and white. What I would strongly recommend is to put first your name, definitely, because you are not only sending this CV to IFP School, but also IFP School will help you to find some support, some scholarship with their partners company. So their partners company will have your CV and your information. I mean, your email address, your name, your cell phone must be clear and correct. Then you can follow up by the hard skills. I mean, your major, then you can go with your soft skill, and then with your past work experience. In this stage, please try to be as clear as possible, because in my case, I tend to mix what I did in voluntary work, what I did in an apprenticeship or an internship with the real work experience. They were looking for someone who has less than 1 year of experience, so I have to explain over and over and again. So try to be so organized. And in the interviews, some companies will let you to describe each stage, what you did. So try to keep really organized, and please don't forget to put some soft skill that really highlights what you know beside knowledge, and that's it. Thank you so much, Esther.
Thank you, Rowan. Matteo, please, can you also speak to the CV?
Yes. Here, an important thing you need to take care of is that the CVs also need to be oriented, okay? Usually, you can send the same CV to the company and the IFP, okay? But if the company is looking for an exact position, it's better to orient the CV also to that position, okay? To IFP, it can be, okay, related to degree, to notes, okay? Maybe experience, yes, of course, but then to the company, the CV of the company, better orient to that position. If you have experience in that position they are trying to hire, it will be much better, okay? And then also, don't hesitate to stand out any volunteering work, any volunteering work, because that's very important. That stands out that you are not just a student or just not a worker, but someone else apart from that. Then, as Juan was saying, it's better to keep it simple, okay? Don't describe 10 activities per job, okay? No one is going to read it. It sounds rude, but is the truth. Remember, just the IFP needs to check a lot of CVs. So don't forget that CV is your presentation card, okay? So you must feel comfortable with it. If you don't feel comfortable with it, you need to be changing. Don't hesitate to ask your mother, your father, your friends, your sister, your brother to read your CV, because every one of them is going to tell you a different opinion, okay? And the more people feel comfortable with it, you will see that, okay, you will feel better too with it. And I will just say here that, again, it's not more than one page, okay? A lot of people don't lie in the CV is also true. Maybe the CV is going to keep you to the interview, but as soon as you are there, the recruiter or the director of the program will notice that. So at the end, that can play against you because it won't make you be like reachable in further steps in case you are not selected for this year. Okay, you being like in blacklist for the following years. So make sure that it's very, very important, and that's it. I mean, I stand out volunteering work, no more than one page, and be oriented in the company and IFP application.
Yes, thank you very much. And a little to add about the CV. It's best also if you can orient the CV to speak to your experiences in line with the particular course you are applying to, even if you have different experiences. You may have experiences in one course or more that is not exactly in the course you're applying to, but ensure you put the applications to stand out for the position or for the course you are applying to. That will make it more interesting. And I also suggest that you don't look down on your work experiences as long as it is related. Some of you may say, oh, it's just 2 months, it's just 3 months. You may not have enough. You think you may not have enough. But as long as it is related to the field you're looking for, or it is interesting to the company that you want to apply to, it's okay to give it a shot. You don't have to reject yourself before you actually get rejected. Yeah. So,
Sorry, one last note here. Because I will
okay.
assume that most of the people attending don't have any previous experience. So guys, as Esther mentioned, like it doesn't matter at this stage if you're still undergrad to have a lot of experience, because this was my case. I didn't do any really on-field experience related to oil and gas. I'd rather show some projects I worked on in school, for example, whether in your final year project or in some courses, you did something really interesting, you did some experience, you got some results. The CV is usually try to quantify it, put numbers. If, for example, you were part of SPE, you increased the membership numbers, put that you doubled the number, that you did fundraising events, you manage a budget, like put some achievements, some numbers, even if you're still undergrad and you don't have much experience related. So really.
Yes, thank you so much, Bushra. That's also a very important point. And like I said, don't disqualify yourself before you are disqualified. Everything matters. So thank you very much. And that's it for now on the CVs. The next point we're going to be going to is the application process proper. Here you get tips on the questions you're going to receive during your application. For those of us who are yet to apply, you may not have seen these questions. So please, Bushra,
Yeah.
I would love to ask you some questions based on the questions that are given during the application process. So the first question I see that we would find on the portal is, have you ever held a position of responsibility, and under what circumstance? So please, how will you suggest that we can answer that question during our application?
Okay, so honesty, I would say this is the first thing. Throughout the application, not only to answer this question, and as Matteo mentioned, this is in the CV as well, because based on what you answer, if you get an interview, these are mostly the points that your interviewer gonna be focusing on. So really be honest, whatever you are answering, and be humble. For my case, as I just mentioned, I didn't have major responsibility before because I was continuous, not much internships. So I was trying to focus on some achievements on some projects I worked on during my undergrad. And that's what I actually did, that I don't have major experience. However, with the internship I did, I attended some meetings. I was responsible of a team of some students. We got some results. It's really also important to show that you're a hard worker, no matter what responsibility you held, and to really also be humble. If you failed at the first time, show that you really reworked harder to get some results. I think it's like that. You don't have to really think of exaggerating and really talk. One paragraph is really enough to explain that you're hardworking, you're committed, you're responsible, you don't quit. And yeah, I would say that that is basically it.
And Favor, you want to speak to that same question for?
Yes, so I would like to add something. So I think one of the most important things everyone tries to look down on is the power of collaboration. So regardless of whatever it is you've done in the past, it can boil down to something simple as working in groups. When you were in your undergraduates, you worked with your group mates to work on some things, or you worked with people from other departments. So the power of collaboration, it's something you should not look down on. Even while working in groups, there were some positions that you were able to assign to people or the ones you were assigned to. And that's also one thing about taking responsibility. It's taking charge of a task that was being assigned to you. Because if you had not done your part of that responsibility, perhaps the project wouldn't have gone at it, had gone. So do not look down on the power of collaboration. Collaboration is really, really key, especially in IFP. There are some projects you get to work on with your colleagues, people you've never met before, people with diverse cultural mindsets. So collaboration, collaborative spirit that you've had in your undergraduate is another transferable skill that is going to be amazing when you come here. So you can utilize that, you can build point on that, and it's going to help you buttress your point as regards what positions you've held in the past.
Okay, thank you very much, Favor. The next question to Bushra. One of the questions we would be asked there is, what is your career plan? So how can you suggest that that question can be answered? Because like you had already mentioned earlier, some people are even undergrad, they probably don't even yet have plans.
True,
So
true.
how can they be able to put an answer to that question,
Yeah.
please?
Okay. As Esther mentioned, first of all, that in the same program, you have different levels of people. So you might have people that already had the career, and you have people like me that just graduated, and we don't have a really crystal clear career path of what we're going to be doing after. So I would share what was my case. What I answered was, in the next year, for example, I don't have a specific domain where I would love to be working, but I mentioned that I would love to be on field. So this was a dream for me and still is. So I mentioned that. And I said, I was honest, like no matter where I'm going to be, I find myself that I need to be successful. I'm going to be committed for the company I'm working for. I'm going to be a hardworking. So I think it's really important to mention that, like, if you don't have a clear vision, say that you really need to progress, to work on yourself, regardless of what you're going to be doing after.
Okay, thank you very much. And Favor, you want to still add to that, please?
You're muted, Favor.
Sorry, I just noticed. So I just wanted to say, buttressing what Bushra already said, I feel like you could also split your career plans into three: short-term, mid-term, long-term goals. Even if you don't have a clearer picture of what your long-term goals is, but you have like a broader view, you don't have it all narrowed out. And the truth of the matter is, we all don't have life figured out. Sometimes we feel like, oh, we know this is what we want to do. But at the end of the day, we end up not doing it. Things change, passion changes, plans change. But having your short term goals, your mid term goals, your long term goals is going to help you a lot. And your short term goal, it's going to help you break your goals into time bound, actionable items. And you find out that you can be able to measure your success over time. So when you're able to put it into those three categories, you realize that there are some things that you are not able to achieve within a specific time frame. And like I said, don't be too bothered if you feel like you don't have life all figured out. Because generally, we all don't have life all figured out. But take it a step at a time. Take things as they go. Have what your short-term plans are, things that you hope to achieve at the immediate stage. Be consistent, and then you watch how they unfold.
Okay, thank you very much, Favor, for that response. I want to add to that particular question of career plan to say that what you want to just do is put yourself out there. Sometimes it's not even about how perfect you already know what you want, but it's how you present the little you have done and how you show that you are enthusiastic about achieving more. And that's okay to give your response to that question. You don't have to think, oh, I don't have 10 years of experience and stuff. No. Yeah. So one of the questions you would meet there is, if your application is refused, what will you do? For those who have not applied, this is one of the questions you will meet there. So let's see how Bushra would suggest that we answer that question.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, here you really need to show that you're interested and that your first choice is IFP. That's what I did. I said, like, I'm really optimistic about getting accepted. I really want IFP. And I said, if I don't get accepted, I will try to look for a job. Maybe I will consider applying elsewhere, but my first choice would be IFP. And if I don't get accepted, I'm really willing to apply 2 and 3 and 4 times. That was it. And this is what I really insisted on, even in my interview. You really need to show that you really want this. Like, this is how you make your application stands out. Like, show that you're really interested. That's, I would say.
Yeah. Favor, you want to add to that same question, please? You are muted.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, so I think Bushra already said majority of the things. Just show interest, be persistent, let them know that IFP is it for you. Like, it's your number one choice, is your number two, number three, up till the number 100, if there is anything like that. Let that optimism show that you're really, really interested in the program.
Okay.
Let it show. Ask questions. Bombard them with questions. Once they see how really passionate you're about joining the school, then I believe it's going to count for something. So keep up that optimism spirit. Let them know that you're really, really, really passionate. The IFP is it for you.
Okay, thank you, Favor. So finally, I think you'll be asked questions about your hobbies, your involvements, like Mateo has said, if I'm not mistaken, how that when you are putting in your CV, you don't only want to represent yourself as a workaholic. Oh, I love to read. I read books a lot. French people, companies want to see people who also participate in teamwork, innovative stuff, collaboration, because they believe it's also part of what helps you develop your creativity. Oh, wow, she's good with, apart from being a first class student, I mean, she's the best sports woman in her class. It's interesting for the companies. It's interesting for French people. It's interesting for IFP School because we do a lot of sports. We do a lot of collaborative. So if you are in the situation where you are asked, okay, what are your hobbies, cultural involvements, sporting and other interests? So Bush, how could they put that?
Yeah, guys, as I shared for all the questions, show that you're enthusiastic, that you're really willing. I really focused here on the cultural part because I am an international student coming to France, so I showed that I'm willing to get to know a new culture. I'm interested about the art, the history of France, visiting the museums, and really, if you come to France, this is what you're gonna be doing: exploring Paris. And like showing that you're interested to be embedded in the culture, involved with everyone. Because in our class, for example, we don't have only French. We have Esther, for example, she's Nigerian. Mateo is from Ecuador. We have really different cultures embedded all together. So show that. And as Esther mentioned, also like don't show that you're only boring. I said like I love hiking activities. I love maybe sometime to work out. Why not? I love listening to music, reading books. Really, French people love to read. So if you read, maybe give some examples about the type you love to read. Don't write pages. Like you can write one paragraph summarizing everything and showing that you do other things than studying. Because as Esther also mentioned, French people really appreciate the things you do outside your studying, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Thank you, Bush. And again, we might be having a bridge in the next 7 to 8 minutes, but probably would be the final one before the meeting is over, because we are gradually coming to the end. So please, again, it's the same link, it's the same meeting ID. Once we end the meeting, I'll restart it, and then please, you can immediately rejoin. Thank you. So you want to add anything to what Bushra said, Favor, about the,
But
okay,
I think
okay.
it's fine. It's fine. The major thing, which was having a good life-work balance, was what she spoke about, and I think that's the most important thing.
Yes. So in case you're in the position where you want to apply and you think all you want to tell the company is, oh, I'm a book, I'm the first class, I'm this. No, actually Total may not be so interested in you and the likes, because again, they want to see people who are creative. Yes. So we go to the interview questions on the next slide. So expected questions you could have during your oral interview. So the interview is the stage you get to after the application process. Not everyone makes it to this stage, but no, everyone makes it to this stage. Yes. So this is another stage where you must know that for you to make it to this stage, you had actually done something that was interesting to them in your application. And this is where you seal it up, how you respond, how you speak, your ability to present yourself in a good way. So we want to have our speakers at this point tell us their suggestions on the kinds of questions they got during the interview, and their suggestions on how they were able to, on how you can possibly answer these questions correctly. So please, Ruan, can you speak to this for us? Thank you.
Okay, sure, Esther. In my case, I had the opportunity to have two interviews with IFP School. One was in my first application, because in my first application, I didn't have the chance to have a sponsor. But the problem before going to the details was that IFP School have some issues. Sometimes they send you the link meeting and you don't receive, neither in the spam. So try to make sure, if you already sent your application and they didn't contact you, don't hesitate to contact the coordinator of your program. The emails are available in each program when you apply. So don't be panic. In my case, was a day before they asked me why I didn't join to the meeting. I asked that I didn't receive anything. Then we managed to get another interview. Also make sure that, as you see, don't have problems with the platform that you're using. Most of the time they use Teams to have the interviews. Try to make sure that everything is working well. And to getting deep to the interview itself, I strongly recommend you to be yourself. Try to explain why you are applying to IFP School, like Burria said, is your first choice or not. If in case you are not selected, what you are going to do, I say, I will apply again, or I will open my mind to apply to other master degrees. And it was my case. 1 year later, I applied again and I have been accepted. They also made me some follow-up. If you reach out them, they will advise you to follow some companies that match your background. So in that case, you will succeed in your interview. And like I say, they make me to describe my CV. If you have been described, you make the details of UC as organized as possible, you will not have any problems with it. And that's it. And also ask as much question as you can. I ask also what is the difference with the alternance and the continuous program. They answer without a problem. So don't hesitate to ask question, prepare question for them, because as Esther said, we are planning to life. Maybe IFP School don't match your expectation. Ask them what IFP School is bringing you to your career plan and to your life plan. So that's it. Thank you so much, Esther. If you have further question, don't hesitate to ask me.
Okay. Thank you, Ran. And Bushra,
Yeah.
please, you want to add to what he said before the meeting ends in 4 minutes?
Yeah, okay. I would share my experience. First of all, as Juan mentioned, don't give up, guys, because I thought I was not accepted because my program coordinator was Zita Kasperian. She started the interviews maybe 2 to 3 weeks before the results were out. So really, do not give up. Maybe, as Juan mentioned, you can send them an email saying, asking them if they start with the interview process. Like, do not hesitate to do that. One. Two, research your interviewer, go to their LinkedIn, say their experience, their company, and ask them at the end question. Because in my case, I swear, like the interview was half of the time me speaking, or maybe I spoke less, and Zita spoke more than me because I asked her really interesting questions about her background, her field experience, and she started sharing her experience. And also I asked her about the sponsors. So really you can ask also about the sponsors such as Equinor, for example. They can help you with Equinor, with Tech Foundation, because Tech Foundation they don't post their application. And in my case, the interview was like she opened my CV and she told me like, introduce yourself, walk me through your resume. She asked me about my internship, about my program. She really focused on the courses I taken to see if I took some courses from their program. And that was basically it. It's not hard. You really need to be prepared. You really need to know your CV because you need to go so fast on your CV, and be prepared to answer question about your experience. Why IFP? She asked me why PEPD in particular. Would you be interested to go on field after? Maybe she asked me what company might you love to join after. So kind of an HR interview, not so technical. So I would say that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bushra. Again, we apologize for this bridge, but I think this would be the final one because we are approaching the end of our meeting for tonight. And again, I appreciate all of us who have questions that are already being attended to in the chats. But just in case you don't get your final response, you still have the opportunity to ask your questions during the question and answer session. And so I'm going to be ending this meeting now for the final time to start for the final time. Please, it's the same link, it's the same meeting, it's the same everything. So all you just need to do is once I start the meeting, you just rejoin. So thank you. See you guys in a minute. Yeah, I guess. So our wonderful speakers have done great justice to the interview questions aspect. So keep in mind again what they said about the fact that, because personally, I had the same experience. I had reached out to my friend who had equally applied, and then he had said that, oh, they received a mail. He had received a mail after application for interview. So knowing the people who have actually been interviewed, and then, oh, for me, I didn't yet receive any email. And so I sent an email. And actually, after I sent an email, I was scheduled for an interview. So it's good that you follow up, ask people, oh, have the interview period started, which of course is also in the portal. I believe I presented it earlier in one of the slides. You see the period, the month when they stop application, the month when they begin interviews, and the likes. So please follow up with your colleagues who you are aware are applying so that you know the next phase that is currently ongoing. So thank you so much to Bushra and Rowan for speaking to answers for possible interview questions and how you, again, express yourself. You don't need to have to lie, and you don't need to have to show that you are tensed, because one thing IFP School does is it wants to expose you. It doesn't sometimes even, it can just put you to be a leader of a team, maybe for something, and they want to see your boldness. They want to see you presenting yourself in your best possible way. So yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, you may not even know the right answer, if there is anything like that, to a particular question, but your approach, the way you are technically able to put words together and blow the mind of your interviewer, it's definitely a win for you, because as much as possible, you must need to impress your interviewer, because it's not only your interviewer that will decide the final list. Now, your interviewer is different from someone who is interviewing the next person. And it may not be equally possible to impress two of them to the same level. So the person who is going to present your case to the jury when they finally come together would speak according to how impressed they were by your responses. And somebody may not need to do too much to impress another person, and then the person say, yeah, good, good. And you probably did not do so much to impress who was interviewing you because the standards are high. So you must just do your best because there is no one way to getting in. So just do your best. Yes. So now we are in another phase where we want to discuss the scholarship interviews. Definitely, the companies are not going to throw their scholarships without meeting you. And of course, all our speakers are being sponsored by one institution or company or the other. So at this point, our speakers are going to be letting us know some ideas of the kind of questions that they had during their oral interviews and give us tips on how they were able to answer those questions. So we would have Daria please speak to this for us. Thank you.
Hello everyone once again. So for the Equinor scholarship, there are actually 3 stages. The first one starts right after the interview with the IFP school representative that is going to recommend you to Equinor, and Equinor will reach out to you and schedule, they will open a registration link. It is similar to the internship application form if you have ever applied to Equinor. So you will get a link that is specially designated to you, and you are not able to share it to anyone else. And there you will have to re-upload your CV, your cover letter, English certificate, and I think your grades and passport as well. Then after that, after they will check out all the data that you have put into their website, they will send the link for an online interview. But the first one is more like an assessment, which has 2 parts. The mathematical and the IQ part is lasts for almost 40 minutes, and it is a combination of the questions you usually find in IQ tests, like find the pattern, complete the order of the numbers. You have to find patterns, recognize them, and choose the correct answer. Some questions are also related to economics. You should have a calculator nearby. And about it's with percentages and some kind of stock. I think it was an exercise based on stock exchange and some reviews and percentages. Then the other part of the online assessment is an HR test. They show you multiple scenarios that can happen while you are working in Equinor, and you have to choose in between 2 scenarios or 2 or 3 scenarios, and you choose the one that you are most likely to follow and the one that you are least likely to follow. And after that, you will get the results of this assessment. It's auto-generated based on your responses. And if they consider you successful in this online assessment, they will schedule an online interview, but with 2 representatives from Equinor. And if you are a geologist or geophysicist, your interview will be with geologists or geoscientists in general. And for reservoir engineers or petroleum engineers, they will also be scheduled with specialized employees on your domain of expertise. As for the questions that were asked during the in-person interview, I remember that there was no real technical questions, but they started asking about my thesis and my internship experience. And I could see from their questions that they really wanted to see whether you understand what you're doing and you're not just doing a project because you have to get a diploma. You have to have a goal, and they asked about the steps that you take in order to reach the goal of your thesis. And they were also interested about other extracurricular activities that you undertook during your school years. And for the HR questions, I remember one question that really stuck up with me was how would you describe the perfect working environment? And where do you see yourself working in Equinor? In what kind of environment? These were a bit related one to another. And I think it was a question that really mattered to them because one of Equinor's main interests when searching for scholarship for students to offer scholarships to is to see if they fit into their principles and values. So I recommend you check their website and see what are they exactly looking for before the interview. And they also want to know you, the person, not you, the robot that writes gets good grades, passes exams, and writes thesis. So they were also curious to know about your hobbies, your interests, your other career plans, or they want to see that you're an ambitious person and you think that you can help Equinor, and Equinor can help you achieve all your goals.
Okay, so much, Daria, for that. We appreciate. Favor, please, can you also share ideas on how your interview with Total went and possible questions you experienced and how you answered, please? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So before I start, I would like to say, so we have Total SE. Total SE is the headquarters for Total Energies here in France. So for those people that are applying for Total sponsorship, you're applying directly to Total SE. But there are some subsidiaries of Total in your countries, like for instance in Nigeria, that was offering a scholarship. So Total Energies E&P Nigerian Limited was offering a scholarship for people to study in France. That is outside of Total SE sponsorship. So one of the amazing things is, I would like to say, even if you'll be opting to do a sponsorship, you would need to confirm if your company, if your country of residence, the total in your country of residence is not already offering scholarships. Because there are some people from Mozambique, we have some people from Azerbaijan, Nigeria, just to mention but a few, that were offered scholarship, not sponsorship. So you might want to confirm, my country, do they offer scholarship? The Total Energies, do they offer scholarship? If they do, I would strongly recommend you apply for their scholarship rather than applying for the sponsorship SE. Because if you do apply to the SE, Total will still send you an email and ask you to register for the scholarship. And if you're unlucky and the window of the scholarship is past the timeline, then you would have missed it. But regarding my interview was pretty much almost the same as Daria's. After I applied for the scholarship, well, I did apply for the SE at first. Then I received an email to apply for Total Energies scholarship, which I did. Then I got to, there were 3 stages as well. Did the first part, which was a psychometric test assessment. You have your patterns, you have your qualitative, your verbal, and after that, if you do qualify, you move to the next stage, which is an interview. So you have an interview with some, I don't want to say board members, but yeah, it was more like a full house. You have like 6 different people sitting and they like grill you on some questions. Like they asked me some really weird questions I wasn't expecting. My National Youth Service Corps, what I did, which I felt like, I'm sorry, but why are you asking me on that? And I think maybe one of the reasons they asked was because I have a petroleum engineering background. But during my training, I did project management briefly with Flutterwave. So they were like, okay, fine. Why did you leave the oil and gas sector to start working in a fintech? Do you understand? Then I had some publications as well. Then they wanted to know why I had more publications that year than every other aspect. So there were some other questions they asked, but majorly everything was hinged on what you wrote in your CV. So for people that, if you take your time to write your CV, I feel like it's not going to be an issue for you. So that's the more reason why you have to be honest. You have to put something there that you can defend. Something that if they ask you, even if you're sleeping, it's like your name. What is your name? My name is Favor. Even if you're sleeping, it's something you are able to defend. So put something you can defend. Don't put something because it sounds nice. It sounds nice, but can you explain it nicely?
Yeah.
So put something you can defend, something you can talk about rather. Then they also asked about my undergraduate thesis, wanted to know what I did, asked some questions, more like they wanted to understand if I knew the background from where I was coming in and what I want to do. So as at then, I had my GRE. So I know one of the questions they also asked was, oh, you have your GRE, so what's the assurance that when we give you this scholarship, you're not going to leave us and run and go to the US, stuff like that. But you really need to show interest. Tell them that you're really passionate about what you're applying for, what you're gunning for. You have to show your interest. You have to show your passion. You have to tell them you are optimistic about the opportunity. So that's also there as well. And I would say be confident. Be really, really confident. Be bold. There are some questions they might ask you, like it will sound like it will throw you off, but don't let that reflect. Let your exude confidence, whatever it is you're saying. Let them know that you know what you're talking about. Even if, like I said, I had experience working as a project manager in a fintech. And yes, I worked in a fintech which was not related to the oil and gas, but I was able to find an intersection point. I was able to marry everything up, and I spoke about the fact that project management is something that can be applied to all sectors. So it doesn't necessarily need to be in the fintech, and there is no skill that is not transferable. The skill set I've acquired in fintech, I can apply it in the oil and gas sector. So whatever it is you're discussing about, even if you don't think they are related, you can always find a relation to them. And just like Daria said, they also want to know that you are not an AI. They want to know that they are speaking to a real person. So they'll ask you some certain things only you can answer. Remember, you are the one doing the interview. No one is doing it on your behalf, or you're not doing it for someone else. So as much as possible, try to be honest, try to be plain, try to be humble. Let them know that you know what you're doing. You're really interested about the opportunity. You're optimistic about the opportunity. You have to show them that you have plans even after the scholarship. You have plans to grow your life. You want to show them where that passion is emanating from. They will also ask you about, I think one of the amazing questions, I would say amazing because it sounded really funny, and I gave a really funny response. But it was, how would your friends describe you? So they want to see you from the perception of your friends. And I said it was funny because I answered funnily and I said, my friends describe me as a drama queen. Yeah, I know it sounds really crazy, but that was basically what I said. But as much as possible, I feel they want you to be yourself. You don't need to overthink some things. I had already said my friends will see me as a drama queen when I mentally slapped myself and I was like, no, this is not the thing you're supposed to be saying in an interview. But we all laughed it off. It was a really casual, fun section, everything. So they want to understand the fact that they're not speaking to an AI, they're not speaking to a robot. So put yourself out there, show that confidence, smile, smile, please smile, smile. When you don't know things, try to find a way to maneuver and answer questions. Don't plainly say, oh, I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry, I've not really, but I'm interested in learning more about this or something. But don't like, oh, I don't know, and then you leave it as that. Show interest. So I think that's basically what I would say. And once you're done with that stage, if you're successful, you're going to get the part where they'll send you your congratulatory email and stuff like that. And you're welcome to school. So that's basically it for Total Energies. It was pretty much simple. Despite the fact, like I said, the interview was almost like you had board of people trying to drill you on some questions, but I feel if your CV is something you actually worked on by yourself, then it's nothing you cannot handle.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Favor. I'm still going to call Bushra, and personally, I'll still speak to the scholarship interviews because of some things that just came to heart. Then, before we go to the question and answer session, but briefly, since we are already coming to an end, I would like to buy 1 minute of our time. As we all know, this is a very free, wonderful, informative session organized by the SPE chapter of IFP School for the year 2025, and we would love to keep record of this wonderful meeting that we have had. So it would please us if each and every one of us can turn on our videos, because we would love to take a screenshot for the purpose of...
But Esther, can you please unshare so we can have all the...
Yes, so I'm going to unshare my screen very briefly. We take the screenshot and then immediately we are back to the meeting, please. Thank you.
Would love to see your faces, guys.
Yeah.
And also, if you like to share in the comment where you come from, or please feel free.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
But
So please,
how can
we...
okay. I think it's in the view gallery. Yes. Okay. Smile, guys.
Bush, are you able to... I think most
because I'm taking it as screenshots just to make sure. Okay, 1 second, one more.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. We can
Okay, thank you. So we can come back now. I'll share my screen very briefly and then we wrap up. Okay, yes. Back to the business. So the thing I would love to say about the scholarship interviews, in addition to the wonderful thing Daria and Favor has said, is the fact that you don't have to be uptight. Because most of the scholarship interviews, for mine especially, it's either physical or it's a video interview. I mean, IFP School interview, yes, it's totally oral. You don't have to turn on your video. But the first question I was asked when I did an interview with Total, even if I didn't finally choose to take that particular scholarship, was, who is Esther? My name is Esther. So normally we are schooled that when you're asked, oh, can we meet you? Who are you? You begin to say, so my name is Esther. I'm a project manager. I'm a first class. I'm this, I'm that. And then they let me, say whatever I had to say. And when I was done, the lady, and like Favor said, they were like a board, about 6 people in a room. And then all of them looking at me. And then I was done saying, oh, I'm this, I'm project, I'm this. I presented, my academic self. And then they were like, okay, we saw all that in your CV. Now, who is Esther? We want to meet you. So this boils down back to what we had earlier mentioned about having a life outside your academics. They want to know, oh, I remember mentioning about my involvement in leadership, my, set passion for sports. Like, that's what they really wanted to hear. They were not even at that point. When they asked me who is Esther, their interest was not exactly they had all of that already. Now, I'm not saying this to say that if you hear who is Esther, you begin to say all of that. No, but sometimes they would specify to let you know that. So you should, ahead of time, prepare responses to be able to present yourself not only academically or not only with the information in your CV, but also with things. Oh, Esther, I love content creation. I love this. I have things outside of education. That is very interesting to Total, because that was the very first question I was asked. Then, apart from these companies, like we earlier said, again, why it's important to not lie in your CV is because there's a scholarship called Talk Foundation, which I earlier mentioned. I will leave Bushra to speak further on this when I end. Talk Foundation is the internal foundation from IFP School. So when you are done with this for example, if you have already a scholarship, like in my case, I had sponsorship before even my virtual interview with IFP School. So you see why we said start applying for sponsorships. You don't have to wait to get it before you apply. So I already had a sponsorship. And when I did my interview, they were already aware that I'm a sponsored student, I'm a sponsored candidate. So my problem was not sponsorship. I was now supposed to sell myself well to see if I can get in. But there are some situations where people who are not in my case get to the stage of interview, but they are yet without a scholarship. At that point, it is important to take your selling yourself very seriously. And again, do not lie on your CV. Because what Talk Foundation does, Talk Foundation is the internal scholarship, IFP School. You wouldn't find it on any website. You wouldn't find it online. What they do is based on your presentation of yourself, your results, especially your academic performance, yes, and also how you performed in the interview, defending your CV truthfully. They randomly select based on that to just say, okay, this one is one of the best candidates we met during the interview. We love his presentation of his CV. He was able to defend everything. Plus, he's an A student, a very good academic background, or he has this and this working experience. We find him interesting to sponsor him. So, since I'm not sponsored by IFP School directly, I'll leave Bushra to speak more to this. Basically, I would love her to answer questions. If she had to request to be sponsored by IFP School because she did the interview without the sponsorship,
Yeah.
do you have to request during your interview to tell IFP School to say, oh, please, I don't have a sponsorship, but I heard that you guys sponsor people. Can you sponsor me? Then also, how did you get informed that you had been sponsored, you have their scholarship? Was it later in a mail? They told you, oh, you are lucky to have been chosen by Talk Foundation? Or did you have to send them a message after your interview to say, please, you don't have what you need? Just
Yeah.
walk us through the process on how to get IFP School internal scholarship. Thank you.
Okay. So basically, TAC Foundation is the last resort for you to get to school because it's the last scholarship that the results, where the results would be announced. So in my case, I was not aware. Really, guys, you're lucky to be knowing this information as soon as possible because I was not aware that I need to apply for the companies at the same time with the school. So I said I will wait till May if I got accepted, and then I would start apply. And unfortunately, no available positions were left. So when I did my interview with Zita, she told me like you need to be applied before, and I was trying to explain to her. So she told me about Trident Energy, the one where Mateo got the sponsorship, and she told me like the final resort would be TAC Foundation. So unfortunately, I didn't get TAC Foundation. So Zita, so like TAC Foundation, they see, as Esther mentioned, the top people applying and they don't have a sponsorship yet. So I think it's based on merit. So based on the grades, you really need to have top grades in order to have a chance to get TAC Foundation. So Zita told me like, no worries, I would try to put your name among other people's name for TAC Foundation, and then it's the decision of the school. So usually it's given for an international student. What I'm aware of is one student per program. I don't know, maybe some programs they have two. I don't know. But yeah, that's basically it. And really, maybe I got the decision end of June or mid-June, like it was really late. So TAC Foundation would be your last resort, but you don't have to rely on it. So start applying really as soon as possible. And I didn't do any interview, nothing. It was immediately like not a contract, but a PDF in an email, like this is the contract, you're gonna be paid this amount. If you accept, just sign it and return it. And it was as easy as that. And I just need to mention something because someone asked me in the questions how we get the results. Okay, like we all know that the results are gonna be published on the websites. In our case, I think it was May 15 or 16, but you only receive an email like, congratulations, you got accepted into IFP. So this is the conditional acceptance as long as you get a sponsorship. It was something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Once you secure a sponsorship, you get like a final approval and you start working on your visa and all your process. But really, for now, don't focus on the visa or any other things. Focus on perfecting your application, getting into sponsors, and sometimes even what I heard from my friends, this is another tips, you could reach out to HRs. For example, Tridon, right, Mateo? They don't post their offers. You need to reach out to the HR. So I reached out to the HR. Zita, our coordinator, she sent me the email of the HR. I reach out to her. So also like try to get to some people on LinkedIn. They studied in IFP and they're working for some companies. Ask for the details of the HR. So yeah, you really need to work on that. Okay, Fader,
Okay.
go.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bushra. But please, let's pay attention to what she said. It's your last resort, so you cannot hold on to IFP School internal scholarship. Like she said, it's based, first of all, based on merit, so probably distinction students would only stand the chance. But then most of the students in IFP School are really smart, and so you must know that the competition is very tight. So you cannot hold on to the fact that, oh, I'm a distinction student, I'm definitely going to get top foundation. So spread your wings, apply to as much as possible, and then we trust that you would be lucky. Yeah. So I didn't expect us to get to this point, but again, our meeting is going to be ending before the question and answer session.
Sorry, I
But
just
Favor,
wanted to say something real quick before.
oh,
Yeah. So, just a quick one on the CV. So one of the amazing thing I've learned so far being in Europe is try to make your CV as short as possible. I know everybody has been saying the same thing, but try to make it as short as possible because you don't want to exhaust everything you want to say and write it in your CV. If you put everything you ought to say in your CV, then when you need to speak concerning yourself, you have nothing to talk about because all the information you need to speak to are already embedded in your CV. And trust me, everyone has a very short attention span, especially when you have mountains and heap of CV to go through. So they are not going to run through page 1, page 2, page 7, page 10 if you have a very long CV. So shorten your CV, and during the part where you have to present yourself, everything you've been meaning to write in your CV, use that as an elevator speech to sell yourself out. Then just to add on Butra's point, for the Talk Foundation, I know it had some criteria because when I also applied to IFP, my program coordinator asked me some questions and it was like, oh, I really don't qualify for the Talk Foundation scholarship, Talk Foundation's scholarship sponsorship. So you also need to be aware that in as much as it is a last resort scholarship, it is not for everybody because you don't actually sometimes meet the criterion. So you need to confirm if you meet the criteria before you can even put it as your last resort. Because if it is not for you, then it cannot be your last resort. So like Bushra has said, you have to be among the top percentage in your school. I know you have to have not graduated within the last 2 years or the last 3. You have to be a recent graduate. I think that should be the word. You have to be a recent graduate and you should be from, I don't know if it's from an oil producing country or not from an oil producing country, either of those two. So you need to be aware that there are some criteria for the Talk Foundation. And even if it is a last resort, you might not meet it, not because you are not worthy, but because there are like 1 or 2 conditions you have not met. So just to put that out there. Thank you.
okay, so thank you very much. Before we go into the question and answer session, please, once again, we'll have to end the meeting so that it doesn't cut us short. It's 3 minutes gone. Then I believe the next 40 minutes will be the last lap of this. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
The company, but enough so you can live well. I would say well.
Yeah, it's fine. And regarding all the process, I don't know about the companies, but everything related to coming here is mostly with the school, right? So the visa, the papers we got are from the school. Like if you need to rent, it's the residence of the school. You get to contact the school. You have some contacts after, and once you do the credentials to eCampus, it's like the platform where we log in. You have a detailed presentation, what to apply for Campus France, for example. In Lebanon, we apply for Campus France, for the visa, for really everything you need. And even if you get an alternance, the visa, it's a student visa. So the price, I don't know about other countries, but for example, in Lebanon, the price of the student visa is less than a normal one.
Okay. Okay. So thank you, Bushra. Now, okay. Because I think we lost some of the comments before now. We're diving straight into the question and answer session. And to make it more organized, please, if you have a question, just lift. If your question has been answered in the comments, there's no need to like lift your hand again. But if you still have a question, please just raise your hand, and if I call your name, and then you can speak up. We have about 40 minutes, hoping that this is the last session for this meeting tonight. Yes. So I call the names of the hands I see up, and you have an opportunity to ask your questions. Please, I'm not currently reading the caption. Okay, the first hand I'm seeing is Samia. Okay, you can unmute. Please ask your question.
Hello. Hi, my name is Gaia. I'm from Lebanon, and I'm doing Bushra, and I'm doing an exchange year here in France. I wanted to ask if I want to apply to an English program, if I need to provide the English certification exam during the application, or can I do it afterwards, just before the classes begin?
Where did you study in Lebanon?
USG, and now I'm doing my exchange year in Toulouse, NCSF.
Okay, I will tell you my case in Lebanon. For me, because I studied at LAU, I didn't need to provide anything related to English. I never did an English exam, nothing. I just brought a paper that I studied in English during my academic year. But for USG, I think it's different. So I
Yeah,
didn't.
we did an English exam for USG, but
So
it's not. No, it's St. Louis University English stats. So I don't know if it passes here.
Okay, if the certificate you got is still valid, right? IFP School would not take that as a restriction to limit you, but the only thing is before you graduate, you will have to partake in the internal, because like I said earlier, IFP School holds sessions where they teach English and French, and then they give the students the opportunity to write the exams. So before you will be led to graduate and have your certificate, you would need to present a successful recent TOEIC exam. So that will not stop you from getting in if you have no. Yes, thank you.
And
so
it's
please
free. And it's
yeah,
sorry, it's a free exam. The school pays for it, and for usually like we have a half day off when some people are taking the TOEIC. So and you have some previous exams, and it's not a problem, but it needs to be valid before you graduate.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, you can leave. You can put down your hand. Please, next person, Catherine. Catherine, I'm so sorry if I don't pronounce correctly your name, please.
Thank you so much. My name is Catherine from Uganda. I have two questions. So the first one is the one for the recommendation letter, but it wasn't answered. Does the recommendation letter, sorry, have to be showing that you are the best candidate for the IFP school, or you can use any other recommendation letter? Like, for example, I did internship. Can I use that proof of internship and recommendation letter for this same thing when I'm doing my application for IFP school?
Okay, I'll allow Mateo to speak to that. But before I do that, I would love to first of all say recommendation letter. I don't think it's in your place to prepare your own recommendation letter because the name implies recommendation. So it means a company or a person or an external individual who can defend you to speak for you. So, like you said, probably you did an internship maybe with Total. You can have your internship supervisor write a recommendation letter for you with a Total letter-headed paper to say, okay, her name is Catherine. She did this internship. She's good. She's intelligent. She's this. So it is them actually recommending you to IFP school. So the best recommendation letters can actually be coming from companies or great individuals who are notable or companies who are notable recommending you as a candidate, especially partner companies to IFP school. Yes, I think it works that way. It doesn't have to be you saying why you are the best candidate. I think that's the responsibility of the cover letter. The cover letter is where you get the opportunity to sell yourself by yourself. But the recommendation letter is someone else or a company recommending you, your supervisor, your HOD in the university, or another person. Mateo, am I right about that? Or you want to say something?
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with you.
Okay.
The recommendation letter is just someone who says how you are. It
Yeah.
doesn't really necessarily go directed to IFP. If you can do it, okay, it's going to be better, of course. But if you don't have it, it's okay if you just have a recommendation letter of your company and just upload it because they are saying how you work, how you are, and basically that with that the school can interpret, okay, it's good, it's useful for me.
Thank you. So I think that answers your question, Catherine. Thank you. Vivian Kibet, please can you ask your question?
Hello, my name is Vivian. I am from Kenya. So my question is related to scholarship opportunity. So my question is, for if I have applied to IFP school, and I have also applied maybe to Total Energies for a scholarship. So will Total Energies consider my application after IFP has confirmed that yes, we like this student and would like to have them in our program, or can they contact me before they actually get accepted by IFP school?
I think
the opposite, actually.
Okay.
What I know is the opposite because the company, I don't know about this year. Maybe what I heard that Zita started some interviews, but in my case, what I knew that the interviews held by the school are after the companies because the companies are already now posting their offers, and some of them maybe I don't know if they started doing interviews or not yet. But usually, if you got accepted, that's what I hear from our French colleagues. If you get accepted into the sponsorship by the company, it's so easy to get into the school because you already have a sponsorship. So why the school, if you're the right fit for the company, the school would really accept you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
the reason why I've asked that is because
Sorry, let me okay, sorry. I'm
okay,
sorry to
sorry.
cut you again. It
Okay.
depends. So in my case, it was a bit different from the feedback Bushra gave. So I did my first interview with IFP, I think sometime around February or March. And it was a couple of days after, I think 2 to a week later after my interview with IFP, I received the feedback from Total Energies SE that Total Energies made them aware of my application. But mind you, I had initially applied to Total SE, but I only got a feedback that, oh, they've received my application, they'll let me know subsequent feedback and all. But after my interview with IFP School, they reached out to me and said Total Energies IFP School made them aware of my application. So my point is, I believe I still think things change. So what happened last year might not be the same that will repeat itself this year. But for my case, it was after my interview with IFP, I got a feedback from Total Energies SE.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Okay,
But
thank you, Vivian.
still apply before, like do both concurrently. And like I said, if there's a total sponsorship or scholarship by your affiliate country, then it's best to apply for that because Total SE will still tell you to go ahead and apply for the one being sponsored by your country.
Okay, I asked that because I have applied to IFP School and I got invited for an interview, but I have not applied for the Total scholarship. So I was thinking, that's why I asked that.
Please do
Yeah,
apply
but
for Total.
Yeah, and apply to other companies as well. Like
Yeah.
you don't lose anything. Apply.
Okay, thank you.
And one of the things that your interviewer wants to know when you during your interview is how many companies have you reached out to? They want to see your interest. They want to know how interested you are in the program. And one of the ways you can show your interest is by giving a substantial number of how many companies you've applied to. They also want to know how many people have you reached out to regarding this your pursuit for admission. So if you can tell them, oh, I've applied to these companies and I've also reached out to this number of people, it would indicate that you are strongly interested in the position and the offer. So apply to as
Yeah.
many as you can.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, yeah, thank you, Favor and Bushra, and thank you, Vivian, for your question. So before we go ahead with the questions, I see that, like we earlier said, the time zones are different and some people may need to leave. But we have here, as you can see on my screen, some names of people who you can reach out to in case we are not able to take your question or in case you can no longer last long on the meeting. On LinkedIn, you can feel free to chat either of these persons, and definitely I'm sure you'll get a good response to any questions you have. Yes. So, Vivian, please, you can put down your hand now. I think your question has been answered.
Or
Thank
if
you
you have
so much for
another
your
one,
participation.
if you have another one, go ahead.
Well, I think she's
Yeah.
okay. Okay, so we go ahead. I don't see any new hands up. I don't know if we lost some people because or maybe it's because of the time. Because I had been seeing lots of questions that I thought would still come up in the comments, but since I think probably everyone is now satisfied with the responses they have received, or otherwise, please, once again, in the next 30 seconds, if you can still put up your hands if you have questions, because we are wrapping up.
And one last thing, guys, if you got accepted to IFP, please join the SPE. We count on you.
Very, very important. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. And
Yeah.
you get to network with a lot of people. And also, like, don't take IFP as the previous undergrad. I know all of us worked really hard in our undergrad to secure top grades. I think most of the people attending are internationals to secure after a good master. But really, like, enjoy Paris. It's really beautiful. Go out, have networking opportunities with your colleague. Don't limit yourself only to the classroom, because after you need to secure a job, it would be much easier if you make meaningful connections with the instructors, especially that most of them comes from Total Energies or Basic or a lot of really known companies. So this
Yeah.
is really important to take into account.
Okay. So I see someone on the comments asking the average budget for rent. Well, depends on if it's IFP school, yeah, Paris is expensive. That's one thing you must know for house rent, but it's going to be covered in your monthly allowances. If you would love to stay in the school residence, like most of us, to avoid maybe having to transport, then yes, in the residence we pay within the range of 800 to 1,200 euros, depending on the room you choose. And outside within the residence, I believe it's still possible to get rents cheaper. Yeah,
Yeah, of
but the
course.
residence is very convenient, and you may want to stay. But if you don't want, it's not compulsory to stay in IFP residence because you're an IFP student. Because I believe once you get in an admission, you will receive a mail from the residence saying, okay, send in your information. It's up to you to decide if you want to book or if you don't want to book. The Kraus is still available. So there are many options for residency, which is not okay, you want to say something?
And also you have the CAF, guys, like, okay, you pay this amount, but then after, depending if you're continuous or alternate, you might be receiving like around 300. So in total, it's like 500 in the residence if you decide to take the residence. I think it's fair compared to Paris, because you need really to keep in mind that Paris is not a cheap city, considering.
Yeah, because you would know the difference. The difference is a lot different it's a lot high compared to other cities in France. But generally, it's nice to be in Paris. So I think we don't have any other questions. So thank you so much.
We have one last one, I think, for the FITS interview, 1 or 2 interviews. I think that's a question. With the coordinator, it's usually 1 interview, and then as we mentioned, for the sponsorship, like depending on how many interviews you got invited to, depending of the format of each company.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Okay, so Bushra, please can you just help us with a vote of thanks and then we wrap up? Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, guys. On my behalf and of all the board, so Favor, the external vice presidents. I don't know if you mentioned that. Mateo, the internal vice president. Favor, and Juan and all the board members. We thank you really all for attending, and we wish you the best in your next process if you apply or anything, or if you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We put our contact. Feel free to reach out if you need any help. And really, this is an opportunity you can't miss to apply to IFP. It's a once in a lifetime experience. And yeah, best of luck and have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. And thank you to all our speakers. Thank you so much, Juan, Mateo, Favor, Daria, Bushra. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay. Until another opportunity.